I recently watched the documentary program that was made by Netflix and is on Netflix called The Social Dilemma. Now, if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend it. And that's not for the kind of cheap and tacky storytelling, in my opinion, but for the views and the opinions of the experts. And really for you to be able to reflect on how you use social media. And I assume, because you're watching this, you do use social media. And so it is really vitally important that you understand how you're using it and how you want to use it in the future. Now, this video is going to take a slightly different approach. It's going to be a lot of me giving my kind of thoughts, opinions, and kind of review on the program and what it made me think about. But at the end, there are going to be some kind of hints and tips of things that I'm going to not only try, but you might want to try as well. But to actually understand where I'm coming from and how I have taken the approach that I take to social media, we need to go back, and I need to tell you where it all kind of started, really, which was about 6 years ago. Now, this is the honest truth. Believe it or not, I was against all forms of social media. Now, that wasn't to say I didn't have any accounts. I think I had one or two. I think Facebook, definitely. But they were all locked down. They were completely private. No one could really see. I just kept it to a tight circle. And that's because I believe that it was a way in which people could kind of spy on you. Yeah, they could watch what you were up to. And it was just a way of them kind of knowing what you were up to all the time and to use that to their advantage. Now, that hasn't really changed, but something has. Me. What changed was my outlook and how I personally want to use platforms and social media. And when I really thought about it, the positives did really outweigh the negatives. Yes, social media is a tool, but a tool in the wrong hands of not nice people are always going to be used in a bad way. And of course, the social dilemma kind of highlights this and draws out these fears. Social media is like any other tool. Let's take a knife, for example. Yes, a knife in the hands of a bad person who's going to use it negatively is going to inflict a lot of pain. But you use that same knife in the hands of a positive person. It might be used by a great chef for an amazing meal, or a carpenter to make a great sculpture. When you understand that you're more likely to hear the bad stories that inflict fear rather than the positive ones, then you really can start to see how you can use social media in your own way to create a more positive experience. Watching The Social Dilemma really did remind me of this. Reminded me of how I used to think about it and how I think about social media now. And of course, it did make me rethink about some of the ways in which I can use social media in a better, more productive and effective way. But it didn't make me want to stop using it. Now, one of the things that was highlighted in the program by the experts, and when I say experts, they were often the people that kind of started the ball rolling. They designed the platforms, they programmed the platforms, and now they're talking about kind of controlling it. And one of the things they're talking about with controlling it is regulating it. And I agree with regulating it. But these same people that were talking about regulating it didn't actually offer any tangible kind of ideas about how they would go about doing that and making those improvements. And this kind of came back to one key thing for me, and that is that social media isn't going anywhere. It's here to stay. And yes, we give up some of our privacy, and yes, we give up some of our data. But in exchange for that, we also get some benefits and kind of positives out of it. Now, we might need to be a bit more aware of what that exchange actually is. But personally, I think that we as individuals need to take more responsibility of how it's affecting us, how we're actually using it, and the experience we're personally getting from it and why. It's so easy to blame everybody else. We also need to understand that we have been influenced since the beginning of time. This is not a new thing. We've been influenced throughout history through different modes and mediums. But just right now, we seem to be in that time where things are more influential. I mean, there is even a job now called influencer. And if that doesn't give it away, then I don't know what will. But you need to remember that that influence in the hands of the wrong people will be sending the wrong message. And you and we need to be aware of that. Now, I don't know who will have got to this point in the video, but this is the bit that I think that might kind of split opinion. And this is just my opinion. But I think that people think that the answer is potentially less. Spend less time on social media. Spend less time on platforms. Less access. I don't necessarily agree. Now, I think, in my opinion, it's self-awareness and understanding of what those platforms are made for and used for. If you're one of these people that can't control how long you spend on social media, or if you get influenced by people that you don't even know, or if you're envious of a lifestyle you didn't work to obtain, I don't necessarily blame the platforms for that, because that has always been there. It's always been in the world. It just means that with more access, we're more aware of and we see more of what is going on. And that is both the good and the bad. Now, I know I've said some things that some of you may or may not agree with. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I have thought of a few things that I'm going to look to adapt and change. I'm going to tell you what those are, and maybe you might want to incorporate or use them. Okay, so this first one, have you found yourself sometimes going on social media, not really knowing why, aimlessly scrolling and losing a little bit of track of time? Yeah, I'm going to take that as a yeah, because I think we've all kind of been there, me included. So my thought is, when I approach a platform, what is my purpose for going on it? What am I trying to achieve? Now, this could be to try and spread some positivity, to try and help someone, or to connect with others, or share something of use. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean spam people or sell at them, because I, for one, really hate that. Okay, this next one kind of comes in two parts. Do you have and find that there are people on your feed that really kind of do annoy you, really do kind of wind you up, or saying negative things that are just not helpful, or just make you feel a bit meh? Then if so, get rid of them. Clean up your timeline. Go through and unfollow those people, get rid of them, so that when you go on there, you're having a more positive experience on your timeline. Be ruthless. See if you can cut it by half. That's a really good starting point. But this second point is, once you have done that, replace some of those people with other people that you find inspiring, or they're going to help you feel more positive. Another one that I'm looking at is allocating set times of the day to kind of do these things, have these experiences, go and be kind of positive on the platform, or have my direction of what I'm trying to achieve while I'm on there. Now, it isn't realistic to just probably limit to 1 hour, because that's different things happen at different points of the day. But I would say allocate a time, a little bit in the morning, a little bit on your lunch, and in the evening. I don't think it's realistic to say I'm not going to go on it at all today. I just think it's everywhere, on different devices, in different places, and things happening that you want to find out about. You know, it happens in the news, and you flock to Twitter to find out what's actually going on, or gets perspective on what's actually happening. So I don't think it's realistic to cut it out completely, but maybe just limit it to kind of 3 periods throughout the day. But remember to approach it with purpose. And the last one that I've said before many a time, but approach each social media app with positivity, but use it for what it was intended to do. And that is to be social, to connect with each other in a world that we wouldn't be able to connect with if we didn't have social media. So see it and try to view it as a positive experience. So hopefully you found this video interesting. It's made you a little bit curious about the actual program if you haven't seen it, and you might go and watch it, and obviously you can make your own views. Don't forget to come back and leave a comment on what you thought, what you agreed with or disagree with. That's perfectly fine. And obviously, if you can take away some of the kind of things that I was thinking about and reflected on to use in your own kind of social media experience, then go for it and let me know how you get on with it. But as always, from Simply Create, there'll be more videos soon. But thank you for watching.